cost of living's retarded. Retarded meaning the opposite to advanced, okay? It is seriously, it's off chops. Rent's just insane. House prices, don't even go there. When I think back to when I was itty bitty, my parents borrowed, I think it was about $50,000, bought a block of land, built a house with it. Had it paid off in like 7 years or something. That was less than 50 years ago. That house would sell for over $250,000 now, easy. Probably close to $500,000. Since it's in slap bang in the middle of Shearwater. Yuppiesville, that got taken over by all the mainlanders that came over, and all the mainland retiring boomers that came over and through a little country town with holiday shacks into some kind of state of yuppiness. All the little sport rat rich kids. Developed swampland all around Hawley. Stuck mansions on swamps. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Give that another 20 or 30 years and we'll see how those houses look, will we? But anyway, I digress. The cost of living is ridiculous. It's like insane. It's absolutely insane. Here we are worrying about immigration and so forth. Well, sucked in is all we can say. Sucked in on us because we let it happen, didn't we? You can blame this person, that political party. Come on, they're all a bunch of arse cheeks hanging around the same stinking rectum. All funneling votes to one another, and every election Clive Palmer pops out of the woodwork so we can steal votes from the National Democrats or from the One Nation Party, because he knows he's never going to win anything. He's just there to upset the apple cart. Now, at the end of the day, everyone keeps every 4 years running into their booth with their pencil. A pencil, like a little child, and voting for their favourite fool, their favourite puppet. It's not an election. It's an illusionary democratic selection system. It's the illusion of choice. There isn't any choice. It's not a true democracy, because a true democracy is the majority rules. What's good for the many is good for the few, which is good for all. Okay? That's really how simple it is. And in that, by keeping that, and had we looked after our constitution, we'd still be on the top of the food chain. Food's ridiculous. I mean, it's stupid. Where's all the good food going? Are they stocking it up for some kind of strategic reserves because we're probably going to go into a war? Or what? Because everything that's in our supermarkets is absolute freaking garbage. It's shit. We're paying through the nose for absolute fucking garbage that goes off in a few days. Now, everywhere you go, whether it be for clothing, toys, hiking and camping gear, sports gear, shoes, musical instruments, like everything. I'm not just narrowing it down to a shop, it's all of them. All of them. It seems that all any of them have is the finest Chinesium that's guaranteed to break or comes pre-broken. if you want to buy anything of any quality, the price you've got to pay is absolutely insane. You go to the fish and tackle shop downtown. You want a decent pair of good hiking boots. You can get the New Zealand military edition, like they're exactly the same as what the New Zealand military wear, boot. You pay over $600 for them. I shit you not. Over $600 for a pair of fucking boots. Come on. Get real. I remember once upon a time when my old man could run a cheap paint job under the counter through his panel shop for less than what it costs you to buy the paint now. That's the whole car resprayed. And he'd make a few bucks on that. Bit how you going, isn't it? How did this all happen? There was a thing that happened in, I want to say, I can't remember what date it was, 76ish, I think. Now, I'm pretty sure it was Malcolm Fraser that brought it in, called the Lima Agreement. Sold to us under the idea that by the Lima Agreement we would contract out to some of the third world developing countries to bring their standard of living up to our level. When in actual fact, what that was to allow Australian companies, or foreign companies who had to be registered in Australia and pay taxes in Australia, to turn into offshore companies. Hence why most of our mining leases are South African mining companies and so forth. Minimising their tax, they don't pay a cent in tax. If anything, they get bailouts. Lobbyists chuck in money, which they get back in the form of a bailout or incentives. They say, oh yeah, but we're providing work to Australians and generating income for Australia. Yeah. With our minerals and assets and resources. Ours. Not the government's, ours. The Commonwealth, as annotated in the Constitution, is public wealth and general goods. In other words, the wealth generated by the public and the general goods that we produce from it. Property, our industry, our labour, our common wealth. Get it? It used to be that it was the government of the Commonwealth of Australia. It's the government that's under the Commonwealth of Australia. It's the government serving the Commonwealth of Australia. It's the government serving the people of Australia. Now they call themselves the Commonwealth Government. The Commonwealth Government of Australia. So what are we? Serfs? Seems that way, doesn't it? We're worse than serfs. We're lemmings. We run around like a bunch of lemmings. We're going to get eaten into extinction. We're starved into extinction because we can't afford to eat. If we don't turn our back on this rubbish, like ASAP, we're going to be sitting in the corner crying about not being able to feed our own children. We're going to be sitting in the corner, stomach cramps, in pain, because we gave the last skerrick of food in our cupboards to our kids. That's if you're that selfless. Just let that fucking sink in for a minute. Are you that selfish that you're going to have no spine whatsoever? Ever? You're not going to have enough empathy for your children to put aside your own fears? Enough love? Enough dedication to what you selfishly brought into this world? They didn't ask to be fucking born, did they? Or you're just one of these gronks that's like, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, and as long as you know the laws suit me, fuck every other cunt. Because, you know, you might have had your life handed to you on the silver plate. Some of us have to create things from nothing. Some of us have done it over and over again. And had to either walk away from it or had it stolen from us. Usually stolen from us. How many farmers don't have a farm anymore because the government's let the banks run roughshod over them? These farmers provided us with good food, and they are no more. And we let the banks take their farms, and many of those farmers have committed suicide. We are far too apathetic. We're pathetically apathetic. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off that people with government fucking wages run around as if they are taxpayers, as if they are creating something of value or adding some kind of wealth or service to the community when all they're doing is fucking robbing from it. I'll let you in on a little secret that anybody with half a brain or anybody with a little bit of mathematical skills knows. Anybody that's ever had to balance a profit and loss fucking spreadsheet, right? If your money comes from the tax purse, you are not a taxpayer. I, at the moment, am not a taxpayer other than through what I buy through goods and services tax and other hidden taxes for the things that I pay for. However, unlike a lot of people who have spent their lifetime as that type of person, there's plenty of times in my life I've worked 2 jobs. I've been a business owner. I have employed people. I have added value and wealth to my community. I brought in wealth from external, from other cities, even other states. Not huge amounts, but it's a damn sight better than just leeching off it and calling myself a public service. When what you actually do is of little benefit to the public. Little to none. Quite often, it's the opposite. Quite often, you're paid by the public to rob the public. Let that fucking sink in for a minute. You're paid by the public, employed by the government apparently, even though the public pays you. The problem is the government has written themselves above the Constitution instead of where they're supposed to be, below it. The Constitution is there to keep them in control and us in control of them through the Constitution. The Commonwealth Constitution 1900 is still our lawful constitution. Always has been. Always will be. I don't want to be thinking, oh yeah, no, it's outdated, it's symbolic, it's nothing really. Well, it seems pretty funny that the government can tend to use it whenever they fucking want to, and then they spend the rest of their time fucking wiping their feet on it. They take bits and pieces out of it to suit them. It's kind of like those people that take scriptures and take a little bit here, a little bit there, and a little bit from another, not related, jam them together and say that the Bible and Christianity means something completely different to what it actually is. They come up with bits and pieces that just suit their own agenda at the time to benefit themselves at that very moment in time. You see, right through the Constitution, it used to have all these solid acts, laws and statutes that read must. Must. Not must not. Not maybe. Must. And Gough Whitlam, in his sneaky little act of treason, changed that word to may, leaving it open to interpretation by those who choose to use it. Which isn't us, because we're too fucking stupid to use it, aren't we? So they use it. It says may, which means that they can, it's open interpretation. They can change whether they will or whether they won't, whether they must or whether they must not, at any whim, depending on what sort of legislation and policy that they want to impose over us. And then it just keeps getting more muddled up and more confusing and more fragmented, more compartmentalised. So instead of just admitting that they fucked up, they keep creating more legislations and more policies, band-aid fixes on a wound that can only be healed by bringing back the Constitution. The wound was created by taking it away. Do you get it yet? We shouldn't have these multinationals in our fucking country ripping us off left and right. We should not have a bunch of CEOs in Queen Street, Melbourne, calling themselves the Housing Co-op, in charge of housing choices, which is actually the houses stolen from the Australian Commonwealth Housing Trust. The Commonwealth Housing Trust of Australia. The Commonwealth Housing Trust of Australia, which is the People's Housing Trust of Australia. They're our fucking houses that they're putting foreigners into while we have Australians homeless. Now, the whole immigration fucking thing, that's not the problem. Right, that's not the agenda. That's not what we should be focusing on. But they're making it that big a problem that we have to. We can't ignore it. So we're not focusing on the real problem. The real problem, there's only one way we can fix it. Make Australia somewhere they don't want to come to, at the same time as turning our back on government and walking away from the fucking crooks. They're a bunch of criminals. They walk all over our sovereignty, not sovereign citizens. There's no such fucking thing. You're either a sovereign man or you're a citizen. A citizen works for the city or the state. A citizen, it comes from citis, I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. It's a Roman Latin word, which is a freed slave that still has obligations to military service and to pay taxes and to vote. It's not really a free person, is it? Not really, given that most of those people were Jews, Hebrew Jews, in their own land that Rome had taken from them. Geez, that's a privilege, thank you very much. For making me subject to your laws instead of God's laws. Yea, they worship me, yet they ignore God's laws and teach the laws of man as doctrine. Matthew, can't remember what proverb. I think it's about time we wake up to ourselves, because, like, seriously, how bad's it got to get? When you have to apologise to your kids because they're hungry and there's nothing in the cupboard, old Mother Hubbard? When you have to eat your dog? When? We've already passed the point of where old ladies buy dog bones so that they can make bone broth so they can, for their soups, so they can try and get some protein into them. Isn't that fucking pathetic? They've been doing that for a while now, a lot of old fogies. That's their trick to get protein into themselves, because they can't afford to buy meat, not real meat. The fruit's disgusting. Most of it tastes, it's fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible. I love fruit. Most of it's horrible. Tomatoes, they're not even acidic most of the time. It's not even any, it's like they've got no citric acid in them at all. And they're hollow. You cut them open and the guts falls out of them. That's obviously genetically modified, fucking hydroponically grown garbage. It's been sitting in a cryogenic state of half frozen for the last year. It defrosts and it goes to blob on the inside. We should never have let these bastards into our country in the first place. Anything with the big green W comes from a family called the Waltons, who hooked up with the Rothschilds and Rockefellers many decades ago. Do you know why the Rothschilds think that they're a unique special bloodline that have a inherent right to everything in the world? Because apparently that goes back to Rothschild. Just something that I've researched. That's what they think. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. That's what they think. Ra's child. Ra being the sun god. Amun Ra. Ra's child, Rothschild. That's why they think they're the gods of the world. Run everything and own everything, and they have a right to print money, to own the central banks, to do a secret deal on Jekyll Island, while all of those that would oppose it, senators and so forth, governors, other federal government, federal banking reserve administrators were on the Olympic, not the Titanic. The Titanic's sitting at the bottom of the Mediterranean. There you go. There's some smudged history for you, isn't it? We need to run these bastards out of our parliaments. We need to chase them out of their own fucking windows. All these so-called freedom fighters, talking head fucking muppets. What have they accomplished in the last 5-6 years? And they think they're experts on it. They don't want to talk to anyone like me, who was born into this fucking game, who cut my teeth from lessons given to me by my grandfather, who have learnt to discern from myself and use my own critical thinking, to not just believe everything Granddad told me, to do my own research, and some things I found him to be misconstrued on. Because I think for myself. I don't need to be told what to think and then just repeat that as if that's my own critical thought and that's intelligent. That's just parroting crap. That's just parroting shit. It's no different to learning the alphabet when you're a little kid at school, or your times tables, learning how to repeat trivial rubbish that's told to you by somebody else and calling that intelligence. It's not intelligence. That's the same as teaching a dog to shake hands. Being able to see things what they are, just using your own critical thinking, your own mind, your own conscience, and discerning for yourself what that actually is. That's intelligence. I'm not saying I'm super intelligent either. I'm not. But I'm capable of thinking for myself. I've had to all my life. I'm an only child from a broken home, kicked out of home at 16. Didn't have much choice, did I? I'm cursed with this blessing, I suppose you could say. No one helps me with nothing. No one ever has. No one ever will. I don't want anybody's help. Perish the thought, because It's not just Greeks anymore. Beware the Greek who come bearing gifts. It's everyone. Beware those who come bearing gifts. Nobody gives you something for nothing out of the kindness of their heart anymore. Nobody gives just to give. Everybody gives to receive. Everybody gives to put you in a corner. So I accept nothing from anybody except the truth. Truth is, we don't wake up to ourselves. We've got a whole lot of shame to carry.